today, authorized speech, a 99 authorized wisdom. There is no language, no creed, where thy voice is not heard. With this, we welcome you to Morning Spring today on Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. Femi Ojo is my name. Quite not a drizzling money here, quite a bit cold and wet, but then the Easter Lord's doing, it is marvelous in our sight. We welcome you to the program today to be a part of what is going on. What a day we had yesterday. Quite a very eventful day all across the nation, especially here. You get to be a part of that. I'm not the only one here. Daniel is here. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
Beautiful Thursday morning.
Yes, it is. Very, very beautiful. Cool, calm, cozy kind of. If you're inside, it's
just
cozy.
The way I love it. Just the way I love it.
Interesting.
I love it. Cool. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, viewers from all over the world. It's a beautiful Thursday morning, 29th May 2025. It is the Lord's Day, of course. Don't say I'm beginning to sound too religious here. Today is significant in so many ways. First of all, it is, should we call it Democracy Day in Nigeria, even though it has been moved to June 12, but again, May 29 signifies the day.
Democracy Day, so
exactly. A new
just an anniversary of a tenure in government.
Of course, day new administration begins. So we'll be looking at that and so many other things. And of course, congratulations to Chelsea and all Chelsea fans for winning the Conference League. What can I say? I mean, now they have the bragging rights. I mean, being the first side to win all 5, UEFA club championships, and of course, congratulations once again. So, welcome to Morning Spring. This is Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. It promises to be a great day.
It is, and it will be a great day. Quite interesting one.
And of course, it feels great to be a Chelsea hooligan anytime, any day.
Do I need to say more? Chelsea what? Chelsea what again?
Hooligan.
Good.
Proudly.
By their foot you shall know them. It's a good thing to have some level of shame because whatever you are
not for Chelsea.
Oh no, you can't shame the shameless. Actually,
absolutely.
I don't need to say anything more because where some are celebrating the Premier League, the various leagues across Europe, and of course the Champions League, that's the biggest every player wants to win. As far as club football is concerned,
Chelsea has won Champions League.
But now, when you talk about the one Thursday league kind of, whatever.
Like I said, Chelsea are the first to win the Cup Winners' Cup, the Super Cup, the Champions League, the Europa League, and of course the Conference League. At least Chelsea has made the record to be the first side to win all UEFA Cups.
That's all right.
So it's worth celebrating.
And the Chelsea who? Chelsea who again?
Chelsea hooligans are proud anytime, any day. Up Chelsea.
All right. By their fruit you shall know them. All right. But very importantly, by the way, enough of this. Now, by the way, congratulations to them. It is a good feeling to win, actually. It's a good feeling. Now, but the one very, very, very important thing is what happened in the nation yesterday in the education sector, especially the ongoing WASC examination, WAEC. It was a sorry case. It was a harrowing experience for many students yesterday who were supposed to write, the English examination. And it was built to start 2 p.m. Daniel, I went to bed at 10 p.m. yesterday. These students were still writing exam.
No, that's impossible.
I guess you didn't leave
10 p.m.
10 p.m. yesterday, and it was at least. So that I'm very categorical in Osun State. Now, I have neighbors who panicked to school to go and check their children. As out of 9:27 p.m., they were still awaiting the theory part of the use of English. Why? Because earlier in the day, there was a report that the English examination, English paper leaked. And so 1 hour before time, like 1 p.m., it was all over the place in different WhatsApp group. So, bad enough. Many things to talk about. How did it leak? You and I cannot leak that. We don't work with them. We are not an insider. if it was hacked, let's just assume it was hacked. Are you telling me those systems that WAEC is using are not hack-proof? You think that is just the way it is? Bad enough that the exam leaked. Now, students were made to wait from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. to 5, 6, 7. You know, some were even lucky. By 7 p.m. they were through. But in different parts, in this Oshobo, as of 10 p.m. when I switched off my phone, or the data rather, to go to bed, many were still there. My neighbor was still in school. Many neighbors, many people were still in school going to check their children. Now, one thing is this. I checked through till I went to bed yesterday, in the middle of the night. There was no official statement from WAEC Nigeria. It's a sub-region kind of examination body in West Africa. Yeah. But WAEC Nigeria has a Twitter handle, nothing from on that handle to address the situation. And I learned 4 or 5 days ago, it was the same situation in Delta State in Asaba. In fact, there are pictures in which students were writing with torchlight. For private school, some of them are lucky enough, the big ones, that they will have generating set. Some of them will have, lighting in the institution. Many public schools doesn't have that. Okay. So you can't imagine the situation. Now, so many questions are being asked. Why can't that examination be postponed?
Femi, again, this is quite
an examination, a paper that's supposed to be written by 2 p.m. A child is writing that by 10 p.m. What can that child write?
This is quite unacceptable, because at that time,
it's a shame.
At that time, what's the psychological state of the students?
I'm telling you,
most of them, of course, because they're anticipating, they cannot leave, they cannot go to do something, so they are not.
They're anxious. They are hungry.
They are hungry again. Yeah,
angry. Some of them are not lucky enough to have, them chauffeured around by parents. Some of them trek to that school by 10 p.m., 11 p.m. I was just wondering what will happen.
I think
will that child trek back to their home?
You know what?
Does the school have the capacity to house them overnight? How about children that their parents doesn't have a phone of communicating?
Femi, this is quite worrisome.
This is not the kind of nation we want to live in.
This is just a case of, it's very simple, Femi. This is just
2 weeks ago, it was about JAM.
Now it's WAEC.
Yesterday, or this one is about WAEC. And the government of the nation, as at last night, hasn't addressed that. I don't know about this money, because before I haven't checked. The Osun State government, as of last night, hasn't addressed that.
It's quite unfortunate. Again,
and you want their parents to be patriotic.
There's only one way to.
You will tell those children that they should sing Nigeria will heal thee. How?
There's only one way to explain this. This is lack of common sense. This is just lack of common sense. Because if you say the examination leaked, well, of course, we know how it works. If it leaks, it's just a matter of lack of integrity on the part of some stakeholders.
How did it leak?
Before the examination, no. Most times, many times, when examinations leak, it's just because some stakeholders actually leak the papers to their students.
Obviously.
Because, of course, they have to modulate the exam.
Can you leak such an exam?
Checks and all
you are not an insider.
Yeah, so it has to be from an insider. Either from an insider from the school or from the state education board or whatever, but it's still from an insider.
Quite a shame.
If an examination leaked, where is the common sense to say, okay, we are shifting this examination to another date? How on earth do you expect students to still have that level of concentration at that time of the night? For a paper like English language that a lot of students struggle with, here in Nigeria, a lot of students
are supposed to have written by 2 at max, finished by 5 p.m. They were still awaiting papers by 5. Some started the objective around 7 p.m. And then the other ones were still waiting, a few minutes before 10 for the theory. And I was just imagining, can't parents just take their children off? Everyone. Because what will happen? But then,
these children should have walked away, seriously.
We live in a place of uncertainty that you are not sure if your government will have your back. If you walk away and the government don't see it that way, you have lost that paper. We're in this country together. If actually you are sure that whatever you do, the government of your country, of your state, will stand by your back to say, we are not having this. A strong statement should be made to why.
Yeah, it's not even about the students now, it's about the leaders of those schools.
Come on.
Why would the students still
what can the leaders of the
They should make it clear for the students that, no, these people cannot write this exam at this time.
And this is the part where ANCOPS, the Association of Principals, private school owners, this is where they should speak up. Where's the Ministry of Education in Osun State?
Where is the
what are they saying?
Where is the place of common sense?
Well, what is the place of the Federal Ministry of Education in addressing this to say, why you can't put these students are citizens of Nigeria. See what they have been made to go through for a fault that is never theirs. This morning, will you approach that child and say, if you have an opportunity to go to, don't let's even say London or New York, if you have an opportunity to go to South Africa and you stay in your village here, which one will you choose? Your guess is as good as mine.
Absolutely.
They have been failed again. Now we are waiting, maybe in the next few weeks or days or months, the results will be released. You can predict what will be there. Now because of practice or leaked examination paper, you have to say, oh, we have to change it, reprint and do it again. What will happen in such a porous place? By 10 p.m., we are looking at the children. How about the invigilators themselves? Some teachers will be kept there. There are some management staff, other teachers might left that will be in that place yesterday. Absolutely. Families will go through turmoil that yesterday. Wives expecting her husband expecting the wife.
Psychological trauma they are putting the students through doesn't make any. It doesn't make any sense. It makes no sincerely. There's no way.
10 p.m.
It beats my imagination that we can still do something like this in 2025.
You will think that people are lying until you see the video and the feet of students doing like this. What can they do? What level of invigilation can any invigilator do at that 10 p.m.? That's an invigilator that he or she will have been stressed himself because he's the one that will go to the center, carry the paper, bring it back. How about the security implications?
And they're going to write. And they're going to write comprehension. How are they supposed to comprehend the?
Some of them still have paper today, and you expect them to write it today and perform. And everybody has been mum. As of last night, maybe when
I think it boils down to leadership. It boils down to leadership failure. That's just leadership failure. Because when the leaders don't have your back, there is nothing. It boils down to leadership failure. If we have leaders who would have put their foot down to say, no way, these students.
Let's find other means
right
of handling this thing.
So it's all about leadership.
Everybody's quiet. And you know why?
Leadership at all levels.
Because I don't usually tell this line, but it's obvious. If the child,
because their children are not in that's the truth. I mean, you don't have to. No, there's no saying that part because their children are not going through
the child of
those conditions.
Of the Minister of Education, the Commissioner of Education, or the bigwigs, if their children are affected in these, do you think the situation will be the same? Never. It's not even a guess.
If the governor's child is there, they would have raised hell.
Definitely, that cannot happen. Everybody will be involved, but you know, no animal should be bigger than the other. We know. The reality in Nigeria is some animals are more bigger, you know, not all animals are equal, you know, but in George Orwell's farm, he even say, oh, okay, some are more, you know,
more equal than others.
And that's what we have seen. What is the basis of still conducting that paper as of 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m. yesterday? But when it's about election, and you hear that elections are extended into some part, possibly late in the day of the election, you see opposition politicians crying foul. Oh, this is not happening. This is not supposed to be happening. But what truly matters, everybody has been mumbling.
This is so embarrassing.
I'm not saying the political parties saying, no, this is bad.
This is so embarrassing. I mean, this is one of those cases where you feel ashamed to admit that you're a Nigerian in the international community.
It's a shame.
So embarrassing.
It's just a shame. That is not the way it should be. Today is the second anniversary, of President Tinubu in government. And possibly his handlers are rolling out whatever he has done. We'll look into that because of the program. But I feel he, should have been briefed. The First Lady, you are the mother of the nation, Luremi Tinubu. And of course, everybody that has been, every child that have been affected these days, by the virtue of position, should be your child. What will you say to what has happened? How about the wives of the governor in this state and other governors affected as well? It's not just about the jamboree and whatever that comes with it.
Well, politicians.
We're expecting a very strong statement and a very strong action because your children, the state's children, let me speak for Osun State, have been affected in all of this. You can't imagine the level of what has befallen those children.
But unfortunately, politicians at this time, they are preoccupied with spreading propaganda.
Endorsements.
Exactly. Spreading propaganda. See, I'm not interested in the propaganda they are releasing today. No, we are going to look at the facts. Politicians at this time are just preoccupied with spreading propaganda,
It's a
not
shame.
dealing with the real thing.
It's
just
a
look at this
shame.
shameful occurrence. So
That's not the way it should be.
embarrassing.
Nobody should be happy.
For the image of the nation.
I'm
Quite
telling you.
unfortunate. I feel so sorry
much.
for just.
We will look into
children.
that as well in the course of the program. But for now, the newspaper is next. Stay with us. All right, we'll start from here. You know, the front pages are expected to have, you know, greetings and all of those things, you know, coming from people greeting the president. So let me start from this day newspaper. Tinubu, Nigeria is working. Our worst days now behind us. I'm not sure the president can look at those children that those things happened to yesterday and tell them their worst days are over. They just had theirs. A fair share of
A
theirs.
nightmare.
2 weeks ago. Funny enough, some of those students might have been affected by the jam issue 2 weeks ago. The same child now will still write that work yesterday, is still being affected. And you tell that child that Nigeria is your country. You should support. You should be patriotic. Again, Tinubu, Nigeria is working. Our worst days now behind us. With riders declares zero VAT on food, education, healthcare, rent, and others. Discloses external reserves grew by 500% from $4 billion rather, beg your pardon, $4 billion to over $23 billion. And Edu impression Nigeria will borrow $25 billion in 2 years, erroneous. Again, Edu impression Nigeria would borrow $25 billion in 2 years, erroneous. Okay, and below that, Dangote refinery ends Nigeria's status as Africa's biggest fuel importer. Again, Dangote refinery ends Nigeria's status as Africa's biggest fuel importer. And President Bola Ahmed at 2. You have some of those things rolled out. Over 900,000 beneficiaries of residential loan and grant scheme. Over 300,000 beneficiaries of student loan scheme. Over $10 billion FX debt cleared. Over 440 ongoing road projects, including over 2,700 kilometers of superhighways. 3.84% GDP growth in quarter 4 2024, highest in 3 years. 70,000 naira minimum wage payment. Over 13,500 terrorists eliminated. Over $50 billion in new FDI commitments. And net foreign exchange reserves up from $3.99 billion in 2023 to $23.11 billion in 2024. And over $8 billion in new oil and gas investment unlocked. 4 new landmark tax bills. 5 new regional development commissions. Over $800 million realized in processing investments in solid minerals in 2024. You know, interesting one. This is a message, you know, from the Information and National Orientation Ministry. But when this thing is being put as an achievement, 4 new landmark tax bills. Okay, I think it's still in the works.
That's why this is just a paid advert by the Ministry of Information.
Well, that'll be all from
Sincerely,
this
I wouldn't have bothered. Sincerely, because like I said, at this point, we are not interested in propaganda. You know, some of these things are just propaganda. Let's face the reality.
That'll be all from this day newspaper.
And from this day, we move straight to the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. 2 years after putting Tinubu on the scale, 2 years after putting Tinubu on the scale and on the top strip, the worst behind us, that's coming from the president, the worst behind us, that's according to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Away from that, military arrests 18 soldiers, 15 cops over supply of arms to terrorists. Military arrests 18 soldiers, 15 cops over supply of arms to terrorists. Away from that, AFDP, Nigeria, 90 others elects additional successor today. AFDB, Nigeria, 90 others elects additional successor today. Talking about successor to Akinwumi, additional. Quite interesting. So we have Nigeria and 90 other nations to elect a successor. I do hope they get very, smooth sail with that and get a very promising and formidable candidate for that position. Akinwumi Additional has done very well. Not just coming from Nigerians, coming from other countries. He's received praises and accolades from different quarters, attesting to his great leadership skills and innovation for the AFDB. Away from that, moving to the bottom strip now of the Daily Trust newspaper. Highs, lows of ECOWAS at 50. Highs, lows of ECOWAS at 50. Expect ground rent hike. Wike tells Abuja property owners. Expect ground rent hike. Wike tells Abuja property owners. You find a story on page 11 of the Daily Trust newspaper. 10,217 persons killed in Nigeria in 24 months. That's from Amnesty International. 10,217 persons killed in Nigeria in 24 months. Coming from Amnesty International, you'll find a story on page 23. These are some of the harsh realities in Nigeria. So even after the present administration celebrates 2 years in office, they should also be made to understand some of the harsh conditions that Nigerians are living under. And finally, from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning, Nigerian pilgrim returns missing 8.2 million naira to owner in Makkah. Nigerian pilgrim returns missing 8.2 million naira to owner in Makkah. That's quite impressive. We find a story on page 117. That's a rare case of honesty on the part of the Nigerian pilgrim right there. And that'll be all from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, still looking through the front pages of different dailies that we have today. Again, you have the Punch, punching it big time. May 29th speech. We are laying foundation for sustainable future, says Tinubu. We are laying foundation for sustainable future, says Tinubu. And President leads to external reserves growth, federal government's push against bandits among economic and security gains. Again, May 29th speech. We are laying foundation for sustainable future, says Tinubu. President leads to external reserves growth, federal government's push against bandits among economic and security gains. All right, and midterm review. Manufacturers gasp under energy credit burden as reforms bite. Midterm review. Manufacturers gasp under energy and credit burn as reforms bite. And Tinubu's 2-year review steers fresh political firestorm. Tinubu's 2-year review steers a fresh political firestorm and is expected, and many things that will be expected to be spoken by the president. And of course, there are, as usual, the president spoke earlier, to the anniversary of his 2nd year in office. His 2 years of being in office. That means 50% is done officially today.
Absolutely.
So 2 years remaining, and one would want to say, where were we pre-May 29, 2023, and where are we right now? Exactly. And these are the questions that we will be asking in the course of the program. And of course, that unfortunate development that happened yesterday to the students writing the West African Examination Council exam, the English paper that went unusually and into the night. We'll look into that because this is where we say it as it is. We'll take a quick break right now, but before that, let's remind you that we are live on our YouTube channel. You can like, share, subscribe, and be part of the conversation. Drop your comments there as well. We need you to tell us where you are in 2023, May 28, and where you are right now. How do you think President Bola Tinubu's administration has fared in the past 2 years? And of course, if you had experience, or you know somebody who had an experience with what happened yesterday during the unfortunate writing of that white English paper, let's know. We might just read it out. Stay with us.